Just waiting for 9:05 exactly. Okay, so yeah, so welcome everybody to the session today, and this session is on basic to Kafka on cloud, and obviously we'll be touching Kafka from multiple perspectives. I would say it's not just Alibaba Cloud, it's not just a specific cloud or Confluent or Apache Kafka, but we'll go a little uh, basic sides of Kafka and basic side of distributed system, how the distributed system functions, how the distributed system work, and why they are in very much need today, why they are very important with the advent of cloud. And then I will go through a couple of examples, key takeaways, and then there will be a demo on Alibaba Cloud, uh, the instant platform which hosts Kafka and you have to do nothing. It's almost like a serverless application. So it's all packed within 40 to 50 minutes that we have to give. We have to understand together. So hello again and good morning, good evening, good afternoon from wherever you are joining from all part of the world. Welcome to our event and welcome to this session. This session will always be available as a recorded course and you can take it on 5th IR anytime by searching. There's a link 5thir.com/events !search equal to Kafka, or you can directly search it on Google courses on 5th IR on Kafka, or you can directly go on the 5th IR homepage or from any page, simply search Kafka and you will be able to land into the course. So this course is hosted in association with Alibaba Cloud Academy. 5th IR is a platform that hosts the course and hosts the application. It's our complete evangelism course building platform. It's an ecosystem itself, and Multi Cloud for You Academy obviously is the first user of 5th IR as a platform, which is hosting the course and which will distribute the level 1 certificate, and Alibaba Cloud will be distributing level 2 certificate after a 20 question exam. The exam questions will obviously come from this topic only, from the session only. So just be careful and just hear it loud and clear. Wherever you are not able to understand, you can ask me in the Q&A hour. So moving on to next slide. So this session, as I said, we are a Alibaba Cloud Digital Academy partner, and we are a global digital academy partner. We host courses for Alibaba Cloud along with other cloud platform globally. This session, with this session, there is a Alibaba Cloud certification which is printed here. You will get your name and other details once you complete the certificate after giving the exam, and it says streaming and messaging basic with Kafka. You will have to go to the Alibaba Cloud Academy portal directly. There's a link and everything. Will show you right away how. So with this, we also have made live these 4 courses which you can go and take. These are already recorded courses. These are already live and many people have took this. So one is the OSS, Object Storage Service, which is a basic course. Another one is EMR, Elastic MapReduce, which is on Hadoop on Alibaba Cloud. Then there is a PI Studio Complete course by Bhaskar Tripathi and me, which you can take. And then we have a Terraform course by our Alibaba Cloud Academy Director from Multi Cloud for You side, and he is also our course delivery director, Mr. Gavaskar S, and that's Terraform. Simple to search, 5thir.com/courses !search equal to Terraform equal to PI equal to EMR equal to OSS, and you will get these certificates once you give the exam and pass out. So how to claim level 1 level 2 certificate? On your course page, when you are there, you will see there are couple of green icons which are here. The first one is one free certificate to claim. This is for the level 1 certificate, participant test certificate that Multi Cloud for You provide. Multi Cloud for You also provide level 2 certificate, but they are for the paid courses, which I'm not going to discuss this point of time. Then we have a different multiple partner courses or partner exam that happens, and there those are the partner exam, and then the level 2 certificate which is happens after exam can be taken from clicking this link, one free quiz to take. Whenever you see this link active, it means that has the exam associated with it. Then there is a one free file to download. This file is not to download, but this file is actually the whole documentation for Kafka done by Alibaba Cloud, and how you can host your Kafka instance in Alibaba Cloud in almost in a serverless form. Obviously, it's a PaaS platform as a service, but behaves like a serverless. 20 free video to watch. This is directly linked to the Confluent Space YouTube channel, where the basic courses are there on Kafka. You can go once you are through with this session, you can go there and you can take the course. Free source code to download. This is a direct link to the NuGet package that I have explained here into the demo. When we do the live demo with the Alibaba Cloud account, and we'll try to create a publisher, producer. So whatever the code that we have used, whatever the source code that we have used, you can directly go and download it from here. This is all live. This is all currently there on the site. If you go on the home on this event page by searching Kafka anywhere on Fifth IR, it will take you to this page. Once you give your detail, and if you have already given the detail, it will not ask for 1 year. So you can directly go and watch the session, CM session happening there also in a streaming mode. What is Fifth IR? Fifth IR is a way that we have redefined the learning, and that's part of multi-cloud for you technology. We build, anyone can come here on the Fifth IR, create his administrator or creator account. He can build courses, he can set up event, he can run live and self-paced classes, he can manage admin and teacher, he can run marketing campaign, he can run exams, certificate, batches, and goodies. Everything is there. You just have to explore a little and talk to our team. And whenever you need to build your courses, re-experiment yourself, re-experiment your learning, you are most welcome. Fifth IR has a global reach. Now we are around 10,000 people and almost 100,000 people who are connected to us directly or indirectly through different platforms. It's more than 80 countries where the people come, connect to us, or watch our courses, watch our event, or do whatever, they interact with our system. For Alibaba Cloud, if I talk about Alibaba Cloud, has now a major global reach. Obviously, it's a leader in the Asian country in the cloud business. But if we talk about the worldwide, it has 2,800 plus nodes worldwide, 70 plus countries, 6 continents. It has 500 plus international node. There is a direct. It has a different region like America, United States, Canada, Brazil, Ecuador. If we talk about Europe, Russia, Belarus, Italy, Austria, Poland, Finland, Denmark, Belgium, Sweden, Spain, France, Netherlands, Germany, and Britain. Most of the part of the Europe it covers. Middle East, it has a node in UAE, and there's a lot of support and a lot of cloud work happening in UAE on Alibaba Cloud. So if you get experience with Alibaba Cloud, you get a better chance to get a job if you want to get a job into UAE and other market. In South America also is expanding like a huge, and their people they're the multiple way where businesses and company are using Alibaba Cloud platform. Obviously in China or Indonesia, Singapore, it's in the leading, it's the leader. Asia, Australia, so Australia, China, Hong Kong, India, Indonesia, Japan, everywhere it has a data center, and everywhere you can choose a region. Other than that, there are multiple nodes in China. I will not talk much about that. I am Anjani Kumar. I am inventor, leader, mentor, founder, enabler. I have a multi-decades of direct service to the IT industry. I'm ex-publicist, RBS, and a Microsoft employee. I am the chief evangelist of Multi-Cloud for You. I'm the founder of Multi-Cloud for You. And with me, I have another founder, Dheeraj, and Bhaskar, who is the head of the academy for most of the building, mostly for building courses and looking after university, college, and a student partnership. Izat, I believe I have my another partner who is expert in data science, Bhaskar Tripathi also. We also announced the loss of one of the premium partners, so our UK partner, Rick Kujera, who's no more in this world, and that's really a big jolt to us. The way he was, the very admiring person. It's really difficult to accept that there is no more in this world. This is my LinkedIn profile. You can directly connect to me, Sanjani K. Kumar. Today's session is divided into a couple of things. If we talk about distributed system, we'll come out and I will give you an example of distributed system, how distributed systems have evolved, and what are the key market areas, what are the key, who are the innovator, and I'll talk a little more about this soon. Messaging and streaming, what is the difference between it, why we call, how do you differentiate between a messaging based system and a streaming based system, then Kafka, then there are key terminology in architecture that I will talk about, then I will demo the Alibaba Cloud Kafka platform, and then there will be Q&A and then certifications. So overview, introduction to distributed system. So InfoQ is a company which actually does a lot of research on understanding how the technology and the businesses are going. They did a research in 2020 Q2, and this is a graph from there. So if you talk about innovators, there are companies who have already moved on, and then moved on a much like this is 2020 Q2 graph. So it's obviously it's almost now 4 quarter, almost a year, or almost I would say 3 quarter has gone. So the way things are moving is like micro front ends, right? So micro front end is something where small chunk of software, chunk of web application are being built, and the web application are being built in the way the microservices are built. They are completely distributed. They are completely different to each other, and they need to talk to each other. You need something which can handle the load of events. So there you need something in the middle which actually solves the distributed system problem, which is like messaging in thousand, streaming contents, connecting messages from one system to another system, and therefore micro frontend is something which is coming of very life and which has been enabled, and which is now actually people are able to build, people are able to envision the system because of systems like Kafka, because of the system streaming and messaging system which has gone stronger and stronger with the time, with the advent of Amazon's simple queue service, which started, I think, now it started back in 2004. Data mesh, async API, policy as code, blockchain, HTTP. Blockchain is again another universe. RSOC and reactive stream, these are also coming up, and these are getting popular with the time. If we talk about early adopters, so initially there were people who were building, like even we build architecture today also as a startup. Modular monolith is something to start with. You can't survive with all complete microservice based application as a startup because it's costly also, and there are multiple other things to take care of. So you can start with modular monolith and then slowly decouple it into different microservices and micro front end architecture and structure, and then slowly move on as soon as you as soon as your product start picking up the space, start taking up the load of the system and start earning for you. Correctly build distributed system. So this is one thing that people are they're doing a lot of research around it, and they are trying to pass through multiple set of regression to build this actor model, serverless, service mesh. Serverless is obviously has gone hot with the time. Obviously there is a vendor locking issue that is there, but there it has evolved with the time. Functionless programming, architecture as technical leader, architect as technical leader, workflow and decision automation platform, low code, no code. Low code, no code, if you talk about Office 365 platform, millions and millions of hits are there on that platform, and now people are preferring, because the business user also can create power apps and tools like and things like that. Google is there. Most of the big platform has come up with a low code, no code architecture. GraphQL, reactive programming, HTTP2 and gRPC, event driven architecture, CQRS obviously has gone old with the way architecture has moved on, but obviously for today's also for an architect it's a hot topic. Event sourcing, eventual consistency. Event sourcing, eventual consistency, there is always a discussion between CQRS and the system that you build with the event sourcing or you build in a mesh architecture. Microservice, domain driven design, behavior driven design, test driven design areas. So initially 8-10 years back it was test driven design. Then at the time move on, we are on the domain driven design, and now it's moving more and more further. So it's a mix of domain and behavior driven design today that architect used to follow or the whole team used to work on when the Agile, the way Agile has started evolving. So that's how we see the late majority is microservice. Correctly built distributed system is something which is very much required these days. Micro front ends is getting hotter day by day because of the enablement of the middle tier system like Kafka. And now the distributed system. So if I talk about simple example of distributed system, is a model in which component located on network computer communicate and coordinate their action by passing messages. So it's more like every node is independent, every node can take its own decision, but their collective work is something the behavior of is something what the behavior of the system is, and that's how distributed system are goes, that's how distributed system are made, and that's the basic principle of distributed system that you need to follow and envision in when you building something, when you are building something. So there should be no shared clock. So it's not like all the systems should have the same clock. State is distributed, no shared memory, everyone has his own state. Tasks execute concurrently because it's a distributed system. There's a horizontal partitioning, elasticity is there, fault tolerant, scalable, so it can be easily scalable. So now coming up to messaging versus streaming, this is a very important topic that from here you need to do a little more focus on if you are not much aware of the complexity and the difference between these two systems. So at the top, I'm giving an example of messaging. So see, Nina is a girl. She is living in a different city. Still, think about the world where the phones were, obviously they were there, but they were very costly. Internet was not there. Mobile was not there. Now, Nina has a family living in a village in the mountains. Nina has to pass a message to her family. The only option is she writes a letter. Say, drop it into a mailbox. Here it is being picked by a postman, and then this is queued into the post office. Once this is queued into the post office, there are different addresses from where it goes through, and then again this is being pushed to the Mina's family. So pushing is important, right? This message has been pushed from here. Mina has pushed this message to the post office or directly to a mailbox. Once that is there, it is being picked, queued, and then again this is being pushed to her home. So no one is coming in the post office to pick that message. It's being pushed here. So in the messaging system, pushing a message or the ability to push a message directly to the consumer is very important, and subscriber has the ability to, the publisher has the ability to push the message to the messaging system. So that's the exact architecture of building a messaging system. Push is very important. Pull can be there, but again, that's away from the concept. Is someone building something, it's going from the basic rule of the architecture or the basic rule of the TNet, which is messaging, right? So the messaging runs in the format of mailbox and the mail-driven system. Now coming up to streaming, you see, rain. I've tried to explain here with the concept of rainwater harvesting and how does the streaming works. So rain has an ample source of water. So whenever it rains, it rains, and therefore we manage and we weight rain in terms of amount of millimeter that the rain has happened. So it rains, it goes inside the ground, it fills up the ground underground reservoirs. Once it fills up the underground reservoirs, think a little in a way that there is in the way that is a system which can virtualize your which has the capability to virtualize, which has the capability to copy the water. It's not possible directly, but it has the capability to copy it. So you can retain, copy, and personalize the same thing and then serve. When you are able to serve it, it goes directly through the pump. So here what is happening, that you are trying to, the rain is something which is trying to push the water to the underground reservoir. If you talk about a distributed system which is holding the event, which is holding the messages or retaining the message, or retaining the content of the message for some time, again there is a system which is subscribing to that data, is able to pull it here. Is able to pull it here. Means it is directly connecting to the system, is able to suck that message out from there. So that's one of the major difference between how the streaming system works and how the messaging system works. Streaming has a continuous flow of message, something like the YouTube streaming is happening, something like the video streaming is happening. It has a continuous flow of message and should be in the sequence. There may be not in the sequence they can store, but at least it will transfer in a sequence so that someone is receiving can receive it. Again, this system has the ability to remember who was my subscriber, at what point the last time the subscriber took that data, and next time it can give you from that point of time. So why I was trying to explain it in this way? Because the immenseless system, the way the underground reservoirs are immenseless, this system are immenseless and distributed. There can be hundred of reservoirs, maybe the groundwater sitting at this point of time. So they all get, the rain all get collected there, and then you start pulling the data, or start sucking the data, or pumping the data from there. And that's how the distributed system, that's how the Kafka based system or streaming based system works. And then stream analytics, if we talk about. So this is the filtration system, right? So whenever the message comes in, it gets into reservoir. When it's trying to push, when someone is trying to pull it into, a subscriber is trying to pull it, at the mid of it, if you need to find out and filter out something, it can be done. So it's a continuous streaming, it's a continuous analytics which is happening, and then a filtration is happening, and then there is another streaming created which subscriber is trying to take it, and the rejected data can be moved to the some other stream. That all is possible with a streaming based system, a perfect streaming based system. So example I'm trying to ask is, and you can ask around and you just ping me with your answer. So what is AWS Simple Queue service? Is it a streaming or a messaging service? You can put in the chat window. You can reply in the chat window, what is AWS SQS? It's a messaging service or a streaming service? RabbitMQ, Service Bus Azure. Similarly, okay, cool. Thank you, Gavaskar. Cool. What is Kafka? Cool. Kinesis. Kinesis. Cool. Event Hub. Okay, cool. Yeah, and Event Grid is a little different than all these two. It again is a mix of messaging and advanced messaging system that has got lot many features. This is Azure Event Grid I am talking about, but either you can't put it directly into either into the messaging service or the streaming service. So most of you are correct. So now Kafka. If you talk about Kafka, basic understanding is receive the data, persist it for a time being, and serve like YouTube. The way you open up YouTube, a video, and the video plays. With the time, when you come next, it remembers from where you last left, and then it plays from there. So that's what Kafka also has. That feature also have Kafka also have that feature, and that's why it's important to understand that it remembers where its subscriber left on, where its consumers left on, and from where to start next. Event streaming, you can do it. Message logging, you can do it. Data partitioning, obviously data can be partitioned, data can be saved into multiple partition. Data persistence, it persists the data. With the messaging system will never persist. Why? Because if you come back into the Postman scenario, here what will happen? Message, when you send it, it will go here, and this message is leaving the queue from here. It's finally left the queue, because message is uniquely going to be received by the family, and they are going to either keep it as a memorial or they will throw it into dustbin after reading it. So it's going to destroy. Here it's going to be retained for some time. So now producer, broker, cluster, topics, partition, consumers. These are the main point of Kafka that I'm going to discuss in a little time. So producers are those who produces the message, who produces the content, who produces data. Brokers are those who can hold that message, who are physical system. They are like nodes in a distributed system that I talk about, multiple nodes, multiple brokers. Clusters. So when the multiple nodes come together, they build a cluster. Topics. So topics are something which producers can push messages to. So topic is something like a name where we're trying to push your message to. Partitions, topics can have multiple partitions. One topic can have multiple partitions, and that's where the distribution or that's where the power of distributed system comes into play. That's where the parallelization comes into play. So partition, and then the consumers. Consumers are those who are consuming the message. So if I talk about a Kafka implementation, it looks like this. Apps and web applications. Now I talked about micro front end, which may be sending hundreds of messages per minute. The WebEx is another example where it's like everyone is listening to everyone, and there would be some system in the middle is passing messages to each of us, right? And it's continuous streaming happening. YouTube is another example that I talked about. Apps and web applications. The Google Analytics data, right? So there are a lot of data which is happening. There are a lot of flow of and the continuous stream of data in terms of log, in form of frames are coming up, and then they goes to a REST proxy. And once they are there, the REST proxy, they are received by one of the broker or the multiple brokers based on the way you design it. That's called Kafka cluster. Once that is there is a schema registry which can, like, you can define a schema or you can not define a schema, but there is some structure obviously that Kafka also understand. So schema registry is where you define the structure of your messages if you want. And if you want to validate your structure of the message against a schema registry, you can do it. Schema registry, you can do it. And then it gets passes to any other consumer, real-time alert, analytics, and live database decision-making apps. So if you need to do analytics, you can do it right away. Kafka Connect, there are different system which has been developed by different company who are supporting Kafka, Apache Kafka platform, Confluent, and other also. And that actually gives you an easy connector for connecting to the big data system, OLTP system, or NoSQL system, or anything which is either legacy or even the new systems. Zookeeper is a very important thing. Obviously, in a microservice architecture, in distributed system architecture, Apache Zookeeper was built to manage and handle this distributed node and how the master and the slaves are being configured, who is going to be the master and who is slave, and doing multiple things which you cannot do. It's a next generation kind of load balancer system. Load balancer has a limited play to do, but think about a load balancer at a distributed layer at a level which does multiple things. Zookeeper is able to do everything. Database also, I'm talking about IoT and edge device. That's one of the very important case of for using Kafka. So MQTT broker and proxy is there, and then it moves data to the Kafka cluster. Kafka topics. So there can be different producers. You do a push, as I talked about. Producer pushes the message to Kafka broker to different topic. Topic 1, topic 2, topic 3. Someone is pushing to topic 2, someone is pushing to topic 3. And then consumer are pulling the data. So here consumers are pulling the data. They are continuously connected with the Kafka system. They are not sleeping here. Someone is not pushing the messages to here. They are pulling the data. They are pumping the data from here. And they pump the data based on the rule. The producer pushes the data based on the rule. Consumer pumps the data based on multiple rules. One of the rule is also, please do not blast my system if your consumer is not able to accept such a speed of data. That's also important in the Kafka. Kafka manages that also. So pulling the content, either you can pull it as a single consumer, or you can create a group to look like a one set of consumer, but there can be multiple consumer inside, and they can pull the data. So there is a degree of parallelism which can be achieved by distributing the loads to different consumers. That's possible. I will give you a little detailed example just in a few minutes. Now, these are the basic terms that obviously you have to figure out these terms, because these terms are very important when you are going to give the exam. Topics. Topic in Kafka is a stream of record with a name. They are stored in logs. A topic log is broken to partition. This partition can be spread over multiple machines and disks. That makes the parallelism possible. So topic is the basic place or basic point where you push data to. They are stored in logs. A topic log, you remember SQL Server log or any database log? Database log has a log sequence number. Similar to it, topic also has a key. And they are stored in logs, and topic log is broken to partitions. Partition means that you break into different horizontal partition. You can either put in one machine or in different machine. Okay, and based on these specific partition, you can try to save data in a different way. I'll come over there. Partitions. Logs are broken to topic and can have a record key, else they are done through round robin scheduling. So let's say you keep 5 partition. In every partition, each of every next record is going on. So that's how the parallelism is maintained, and that's how the load is balanced. Broker. Physically, Kafka is consists of network of machine called brokers. Consumer group of consumer, degree of parallelism for consumer follows a rule to be seen as a single consumers, right? That the way I said. Consumers that fetch messages. So consumer are those who are fetching the message, who are getting the message directly from Kafka system. Security mechanism from a topic. We're fetching the message from a topic. Security mechanism, you can do a plain connect inside a virtual private cloud, VPC, or a virtual network. Or if you're talking on the internet, there are different system, a different platform, also different implementation of Apache Kafka, Confluent, Alibaba. In Azure you have, in AWS you have, and they behave a little differently, but almost the same. So either you authenticate using SSL or SASL. SASL is simple authentication and security layer. This is a basic security layer. This is a simple way to secure your content and messages and connect with the Kafka system. Kafka SQL is a Confluent feature. Alibaba also have implemented it, but it's through the Flink. So Flink is a part of Apache Flink, and then Alibaba has also implemented Apache Flink. So there you can apply SQL, but it's a next level kind of thing. But Kafka SQL or Confluent feature, I will talk a little more about Kafka SQL in a way that is not the normal SQL query that you do on the database. In the database, you say select a star from this table. The record will run. Whatever the data it will run, it will fetch it and then shut down. Send. That's the end of the story of that query. But here, in this Kafka SQL, is continuously running. So let's say you are asking Kafka SQL to search from 2 topics on a specific point to find out. Let's say it's a stream of river. You write a Kafka SQL query, find out blue whale, find out a dolphin into it, right? So it will continuously keep on looking the stream and see if a dolphin exists or not. If not, it will keep on looking the stream unless and until it finds one. So that's Kafka SQL is. How is it possible? So it's not like a normal SQL. It's like a system over a system. You write down the query gets converted into code and gets embedded into the actual streaming system, which is like a code. So that's why in most of the event-based system, you can't change your query on the fly because it gets deployed there. And once it gets deployed there, obviously it's doing the same thing, like a while loop, like a for loop, simply looking after the data and the content, looking for a specific topic, specific message, a specific type of message, or whatever the condition that you have applied. And whenever it gets something, it sends you the result. And it keeps on doing it unless until you do not stop. Kafka Connect, this is a setup tool as I talked about, setup tools developed by Confluent and other parties to help you connect your different DB legacy system as well as modern system with Kafka. Replication is possible because it's a distributed system. This is divided into multiple partition. There can be multiple copies of partition. One partition can keep on accepting data, and for other partition is simply a read, are the follower node. So leader node and a follower node I will come on that topic. Offset is a simple integer number that is used by Kafka to maintain the current position of a consumer. You remember the YouTube analogy that I gave? That if you watch the YouTube video and you leave at one specific point, you can say that's an offset. That's how Kafka maintain also. That you as a consumer has been taking data from the system. Last time you were at this offset. Next time you ask for the data, it will give you the data start the data from there. Sending the data from there. So Alibaba message queue for Apache Kafka. This is one basic example of it and how the Alibaba message queue platform works. So Hadoop, Logstash, HBase, RDS, OSS, ODPS, and there is a complete data integration at Apache with Apache Kafka available at Alibaba. The same Steam Compute, Spark, Storm, Blink, EMR, FC. EMR, there is a special course that I talked about. You can take after taking this course simply by searching EMR on 5th IR. This is by Mrityunjay Prakash. You can take it. And then MQTT proxy, REST proxy, SQL proxy, control center, Apache Kafka. So it has a control center I will talk about, and I'll give you the demo also. You can connect with web, custom app, microservices, logs, analytics, monitoring, and obviously it's a serverless PaaS, platform as a service. Sorry, there is a spelling mistake. Kafka, Alibaba is specific. So there are few topics and few points that we need to understand at the Alibaba level also, because Alibaba has implemented Kafka and they have few specific their own constraint also, their own definition also, and that you need to understand. So access over internet and VPC with RAM. RAM is resource access management. It's something like the way you do you manage your users in Azure. You manage your access control in Azure. You manage your access control in AWS. There are different names given for that. And here it's called resource access management. It's almost similar, almost same thing. You go with few clicks, you can manage. You get some SAS key, and then you apply. You apply a access story to one of the object, which is the part of Alibaba Cloud, a PaaS system or a SaaS or a serverless service or a component or a object, and then it will give you the access at a different level. No need to maintain cluster and zookeeper. So here you don't have to bother about zookeepers anymore. It is completely managed by Alibaba Cloud. It's completely hidden for you. For you, it's few clicks and you are done. You can start working with your Kafka cluster. Added analytics and real-time monitoring and reporting. Yes, it has analytic and multiple inbound cloud reporting and governance tool integration, which is there. I will show you in the demo. Elastic computing, broker nodes can scale up horizontally like other cloud system. Fully managed service. Most of the management such as Zookeeper, Elasticity is handled by Alibaba Cloud, as I said. Number of consumer groups. So number of consumer group can be twice the number of topics. So if there are 5 topics, 10 consumer group can be there. So consumer groups are who are accepting the messages. So they are accepting who are fetching the messages from topics, from different topics. So if there are 5 topics, 10 consumer groups should be there. This is the number, magic number that you need to remember. Number of topics and partition relationship. One topics can have 16 partition, and that can be distributed into different machine. Message size and default message retention period. So 10 MB is the default message size, whether it's a photo, image, content, it should be 10 MB, and 72 hours is the default message retention period. You can decrease it to 24 hours also. But by default, when you create your cluster, it will show you 72 hours. Number of consumers from same consumer group consuming message from one topic partition. So let's say in a one consumer group, there are different consumers, but one consumer can accept messages from one topic partition only. One consumer can accept message from one topic partition only. These are all to remember. Now I am giving a DB analogy to understand a distribution a little bit more. So let's say consider a virtual database. So don't just think about your database is virtual. It is distributed into multiple machines instead of a single machine or a single server. There's no cluster or anything old clustering concept or something. You simply think about your database has been distributed into multiple system, multiple nodes, multiple machine. You can say brokers also, right? Broker, nodes, and machine, physical machine, right? So consider a virtual database, one topic. So one virtual database, one topic, okay? And one topic can be distributed into different machine as we call it broker node or machine one, and that can have multiple partition. Among that, one partition is going to be leader, another partition will be follower in that machine. Another machine, there can be copy of that partition, okay? So another machine, all those partition where the leader has been chosen in other machine becomes the follower, you see. And their machine 2 is leader here, and in a machine 1, its partition 2 is the follower. See here? So consider this partition as a single table. Okay? So try to take an analogy back into your OLTP or the data world and try to understand how the the, the distributed system has evolved in the data world. Now, this way the horizontal partitioning also works in the database, replicas or master slave model, and similarly this is also happening in Kafka, but obviously that's completely different. I'm just giving an analogy. Never consider it just a database. It's a completely different system, completely built in a different way. But obviously we talk at the higher level, try to consider it or compare it with put an analogy with your database structure or a architecture. You will envision something similar to this. Key schemas, object and hash are the key to Kafka. So we also used to do a lot of hash mapping in the database when you used to do multiple table partition and things like that. Here also hash works, objects, schemas and keys are there in Kafka, but any type of object you can push in like a NoSQL system. So that's how the replicas work. So Kafka, broker 0, the machine 0, broker 1, broker 2, machine 3, partition 0 can have copies into different machine, but one should be the leader, other should be the followers, and that's how it works. Now I'll give you a demo. So demo, I actually recorded it so that it doesn't take much time. So starting. Okay, so let's start with the demo. So it's very simple. I will try to create Apache Kafka cluster on the fly on Alibaba Cloud. And then what I will do is I will try to create a topic. Once I create a topic, I have ready-made build VM virtual machine, Windows virtual machine on the ECS instance of Alibaba Cloud, and they all are there in the same VPC virtual private cloud. And because they are in the same VPC virtual private cloud, so I didn't have to do a lot of security configuration, which you need when you try to connect your Apache Kafka instance directly from your local. Messages, how do you manage to consume different type of messages, how you can increase the speed, decrease the speed. There are hundreds of things that you need to understand down the line to be an expert in Kafka. But to start with, this is very much enough, because then you will start crawling and then moving, and then you can run on your own. So our purpose is to make you run on your own, and this demo is mostly dedicated to it. So now I will start the demo right away. So what I would do is I have to go to alibabacloud.com. Once I am here, I have to go to the login screen. And once I have already given, so once I am here, I have to give my user detail and password here. Once I am there, I can register now. If you don't have an account, that's a free account. You can put your registration detail. It may ask for real name verification, where you need to give your identity card, maybe driver license or something. Once it verifies, you'll be able to access the whole account. There's another thing that you need to give is your Paytm detail. It doesn't charge as like on other cloud provider, or your credit card detail, or maybe you can create a virtual bank account on your name, which is actually connected with your original bank account, where you can we can recharge with some amount, and then it works in a prepaid mode. So there are multiple options to work with it, and the best way to learn it is like we have given all the demo here. If you go on the 5thir.com and search for VPC, so the search engine works fantastic. You can search anything here, but I'm trying to search for VPC, and obviously so this session you need to take. This is, we also have mentioned in the Kafka session, which is there and which has been already live on this platform. So if you go there in the documentation section, in the comment section, you will see all these detail given. So this is the VPC session that you have to do by Mrityunjay, and then the another one is VM, right? So let's see what comes up, right? So basic to set up free VM on Alibaba Cloud. Here everything is being written. You just have to go put in name, email, and other details, and you can access this course free. So now let's come back to the screen here, and once you log in, we'll jump into the console. Okay, so once you are there in the console, we have to choose Alibaba message queue for Apache Kafka. So now I am inside my account. What I will do is I will try to go to console and see what are the services that are running. So you see, I created Elastic Compute Service ECS instance. I will just have to start it. You can know how to create a ECS instance by another session which we have already given, and you can go there and you can start. I took a 2-core machine, and I'll try go and start this machine here. This is everything. And now what I will do is I will, in the meanwhile, once this machine is starting, I will go to the Alibaba MQ for Apache Kafka. You can also search here, and you can do the nitty-gritties. But what I will do is I will go to the Alibaba MQ for Apache Kafka. And believe me, there is a documentation available for all of this implementation that I have done. I also went through the documentation first and then started. So I will obviously show you where the documentation bit is and how you can do a quick start. So here you see there is a quick start journey which is said. So you just click it. Let's see what happens. So once you go here, you will see all the documentation which is there. And there's a user guide, there's access control, there's SDK reference. So many of the SDKs are obviously not available exactly the way they are, but don't worry about that. If you're trying to do, like I was trying to use the .NET one, it was not there. It was just some sample example was given. But there's no issue with that. You just have to go there into the NuGet. Search also for Kafka client, .NET, Java, NuGet, whatever. It's available for most of the language. Kafka client .NET, NuGet. So it takes you to the exact library. This is the exact library, confluent.kafka 1.6.3 that I downloaded from the NuGet, and I was able to do it. So in the Visual Studio, if you know how to use it, or even in the Eclipse through the Maven repository or Homebrew, multiple options are there. You just have to explore it a little. And I just did the install package Confluent Kafka version 1.6.3, and everything was ready and running. I just had to use few code to use it. So I simply used the code from here. If you go here, the SDK reference for Java, Python, C, C++, Go, PHP, everything is there. I just used to use the C# SDK. And I went to the overview, and there is a code reference which is already there. So so this one, I simply use this code, and it worked fine. So just believe me, it worked fine. I just had to use the server detail, which I will show you how, and then the topic that I created inside the Alibaba Cloud Kafka instance. So now I will go back to ECS console. Let's see if the server has started. Okay, my server has started. No issues. I will connect it later. I will try to find out the IP and other thing and then work on it. But in the meanwhile, what I will do is I will go to the
Alibaba Cloud Kafka instance and try to create a um, Kafka instance for myself to for the test. So I say create. I will choose Mumbai region. There are multiple regions to choose from. Then I will see it's $412 for the, obviously for, this is for the subscription. I don't have to take subscription. I just use pay as you go. It will cost me $0.600 per hour, which is not, I don't think it's a big amount if you want to test it. Just keep ultra disk because standard SSD charge a little less, a little more than use. I will use VPC, but I just tried internet plus VPC. Never use it, but I'm just trying it. So there's a little bit of differences there. And let's leave it like maximum message retention period. 72 is the default message retention period. What I will do is I will decrease it to 24. And then supported topic, I cannot decrease it beyond 50, like below 50. So let it be like that. I will decrease the disk size, the minimum it can be, because I don't want such a high disk capacity. Let's see what happens. So if I increase the disk size, whether the price increases. So I just decrease that. I decrease the disk size to the minimum which is available. 2x large is okay. We just have to test it. The minimum that is possible is okay. If you choose Singapore or other places, obviously China will be less costlier than all other places, but India is also comparatively not much costlier when you talk about getting an instance here in India and then running something on it. But China comparatively is much less costlier than all the other places, all the other regions which are there live in the Alibaba Cloud where the Kafka can be run. So you see India, UK, Japan, China, different regions of China are there, Indonesia, Malaysia, Germany is live, Singapore. I think it's not live in US yet. Obviously US region is there, but this Kafka instance is not live there. So now what I will do is I will simply click buy now. So once I click buy now, I have chosen pay as you go is 0.53 per hour. Just have a look on what you are being charged, because anyway accidentally if you choose the subscription it will charge you a lot, right? So you will have to commit for a long 1 month, and it's a pretty difficult thing. Term of service, you agree, then you say activate now. So now it's activating, and now my order has been complete. I'll go to the console. And believe me, if you find any issues using it, you can connect to me, you can connect to the Alibaba Cloud Help Desk, you can connect to the Telegram channel of Multi-Cloud for you, and we'll try to help you out there, because there are a lot of Alibaba MVPs who are there already on the Telegram channel. We run a WhatsApp channel for Alibaba Cloud. You also run a Facebook channel for Alibaba, Facebook group for Alibaba Cloud, or you can directly connect to Alibaba Cloud community and someone is going to help you out. Other than this, there may be some issues related to either you have to enable RAM access configuration or something like that. But all the things exactly are written here. So either you go into the user guide or the quick start, right? So once you go to the user quick start, you see opt in the access permission, purchase and deploy an instance, create resources, use the SDK to send and subscribe to messages. There are a lot of things which are already covered up, and I believe me, I'm not doing any magic. I'm just using these instructions. I was trying to re-replicate the instruction to find out if I was able to create an instance on my own without going anywhere, without talking to anyone in the community, or without talking to anyone in the Alibaba organization, and I was able to do it. So I can confidently say that going through this documentation, we'll send you the link also, is enough. And most of the things we have already discussed will be the part of the exam. Okay, so let's come back to the ECS instance is created. Now when I see in the console, I have already purchased it. I have to go to console. So once I am here in the console, you will see that it looks like this one. So I have a dashboard. It says my instance is in Mumbai. The instance has been created, but it's not deployed. So there is a two option. One is created, and to be deployed. So once you deploy, your billing starts, obviously. So now you have topics 0, you have group 0. No compute is happening. It's just an instance which is lying here. It's not yet deployed. Um, the template is created and everything is here. You just have to now deploy it and then make it running. Region 1, because I have just used only Mumbai region, you can you can add more regions. I have just one instance. I have, let's see the instance. See, as I have the instance, I have to deploy this instance. Unless until I do not deploy the instance, I'm fine. However, it may incur charges for some disk space or something, but mostly it will not incur any charge, any high value charge or the amount that I was showing you. So now let's see what are the different options here. So one is the monitoring, where you can use to monitor your instance, how many messages are coming up, how things are going on, and blah blah blah. And then release means whenever you are done with your work, you can release your instance instantly. Tickets, if there is some issue, you can raise ticket to Alibaba Cloud directly from here. Details, it will give you the instance detail and everything will come shortly here. Then the migration, if there is some migration you have to do change or things, like you can set up the major version, minor version, and then manage it out. Quick start, obviously the document and the video that I show you right away. The document is still open here, most probably here. So it will take you directly to the document link, and there you can go through the documentation, demo, SDK, best practices, documentation, everything there. Let's go back into the overview. Now I'm here. I will now try to deploy this instance. Take some time. What I will do is, in the meanwhile, I will try to open up my machine and see what I have kept there for you, and then we'll integrate both of these things once they get deployed. Now click the deploy. I will have to choose the VPC. Okay, so I will find the correct VPC which is there with my machine. So I will go back and see in which VPC my machine is there. So just wait for a moment. This is my ECS console. Let me go inside the console. So this is my machine console. This is not for everything there is a dashboard. For ECS there is a dashboard. I'm in the dashboard of ECS. So let's see does it say something about the VPC? Let me find out. So type network VPC. Okay. So the VPC ENI and the number is VPC A2DHZK is at the last. Okay. So now come back to the Kafka console and then use this ZK. This was it. So now I am into the right VPC. Switch it will automatically select, so you don't have to worry about it. It's whatever the switch which is there live, or it will give you an option if you have created multiple switch. Zone, let it be like that. Reset the username and password, no. Just say deploy. Thank you very much. Now it's deploying. Now let's come back. Let's find out the IP here. So this is my public IP. I will copy this public IP. I will go to the remote desktop, and once I set up my remote desktop, I will just show it right away to you. Just give me a moment. I'm trying to set that up for you. So now I am inside my machine. This is the machine which I created in the same VPC where the Kafka cluster is getting deployed right away. Now what I will do is, here I will come here, and I have already installed in this VM, I have already installed the Visual Studio. You can install Eclipse, you can install anything. You can also directly connect from your local machine. There you will have to create certificate. You attach it to root certificate. If you are trying to connect through SSL, and then there is another mechanism that I have talked just few minutes back. SASL use. just to the Kafka instance. Let it start. In the meanwhile, let's see what has happened with the instance itself. Is it deployed, running, or what is happening? So let's come back here, see. So let's see the status. So it says deploying. Still it's saying deploying. In the meanwhile, what we'll do is let's go back again to the VM virtual machine, which we hosted there in the same VPC. First, we created a VPC. Inside that VPC, we hosted a VM, and in the same VPC, we created a Kafka instance also, Kafka cluster also. It's one of the way to deploy, one of the secure way to connect to your Kafka cluster and work with it. But obviously, in Kafka, you know, like you will have to connect it through multiple places, through IoT devices and everywhere. So it's not the part of this topic today. Maybe next time I will set up some time, and then I will showcase how to connect it with your local host to the Kafka instance. Like there are some procedure, there are some steps, there's some security mechanism to follow, either via SSL or SASL. But definitely for this one, it was more purposely built for the basic demo and for the basic starter kind of thing, from where you can start exploring your things. So see, Bootstrap server, I just have to find out the new IPs. These are range of IPs that my machine, that my instance will generate, because it's still is deploying there. So I will not be having this IP, but I will get it soon. And then I am simply doing a producer build, is the part of the basic package. And you see, I have just imported confluent.kafka, and there's system of threading I have used. I will tell you why. Because what I'm doing is I'm continuously sending messages. So there is a limit to what your producer, the machine and the consumer can accept. So if you're trying to send fast, which the consumer cannot accept, Kafka has the inherent property to stop it. So there would be exception coming in. And here, because there is no consumer consuming the messages, so it will keep on filling up the partition which is there at the Kafka, right? So there's no one consuming the message, and again there's a retention period of 72 days or 24 days. Again, you have a limited disk space, so it doesn't matter. You can configure it the way you want, but obviously by default there is a way to alert you, or there is a way to message you that, okay, boss, you are trying to send the message too fast, which the consumer is not able to accept it. Here, because I didn't create a consumer, so there was no consumer to accept my messages. I was trying to send a lot of messages per second. There's also a limit on number of messages that you are sending per second. So here you see, I've created a 2-second sleep whenever that exception comes up, so that I have a pause in between every set of or every blast of messages that I am sending. Okay, and I'm keep on doing it and then flushing it every 10 seconds. So now, what's next? So let's find out the IP address quickly and see if it's possible and it's done the Kafka. So let me refresh now, and you see it says running. So now the instance is running, it's live, and you will get the IP. So here we get the IP. So if you have to connect to the from the outside world, which is not inside your VPC, you need to choose the SSL endpoint, which is here, right? See that at the right you see SSL endpoint, which is there. Multiple IP sets are being here because it's a distributed system, and it's giving you multiple IP set to connect. Now there is a default endpoint. This endpoint means that through this endpoint you don't have to do any further security configuration. It's just the basic configuration. You can directly connect to your instance and start sending messages. Monitoring. See, it's opening up. currently no messages are coming because I haven't set up the topic yet. Now I have to go here. Let's choose a simple topic. So I will say um, test. Let's see if it's saved. I will keep the tag for now. Partition, I don't want too many partitions, just keep one, because obviously I don't need more than that. We just have to test it. Test topic. Okay. So just keep test, create. So now my topic is here live. I will, if you have to test, send the message, you have to test it, you can directly test it from here. Say partition 0, because that's the base partition. Message key, let me put anything, test 1, and then message value, and then send. I've sent the message, and if I see in the notification, you will see that message should show up right away. Similarly, I can set up the consumer group here, message query. I can query the message also. So let's go here. Just wait for a moment. Currently saying no data. What I will do is I will try to go here into the message query. I will try to see that something is here from, I will say, offset 0. So I see the message there. So there is a delay in the analytics which is there. There is some delay with this default endpoint. There is a copy option here, just use it. Let me go back to the VM. I will quickly copy and paste the Bootstrap servers to this new IP. Fortunately, luckily, I see it's the same, looks like. Let me see again. Yes, looks like it's the same. No, it's not same. I was not able to copy it, looked like. Let me try again. So I will try it once again. Desktop also works a little weird. So we are done here. We have copied the latest Bootstrap server detail, and now the topic, right? So topic is test. So we just have to, like, we all know that the topic is test. We'll simply put test here, and once that is done, everything is all test set. I will simply start the demo. So now it should run. It's building up. See, the build started. It's trying to start the client, and then so the message started sending. It's continuously sending the message. See the speed, right? So because of the speed, we call it a stream. In one way, you can say, like, if you have a stream of photo or images, you are trying to send it with less than 10 MB, obviously, you can send it the same way. And the other party can, if it's able to receive it, you can completely see a streaming video. This is now. We'll simply stop it. Let's because I only have one partition, and I will see that at whether in the offset 3 there is something. So see, so I'm getting a continuous set of offset. right? So, and these are all the messages sent by me, right? So now the another most important task is to release all the instances. So I have quickly gone here and I've released my console, which is I will stop it here. Okay. Because I already stopped it, so it says invalid. But I already did. I already stopped it. And now I also have to release it. So just bear in mind. We'll come back here to dashboard. I will say I am releasing it. So it will say that first you need to delete the topics. So what I will do is I will come back again into the instance, go to the topic, and I will try going to the instance ID is there. Now I will go here and delete it. Okay, now I've deleted the topic.
you